Caitlin Clark drops 30 in front of 20,000 plus fans. Brittany Griner is back. Kahleah Cooper saves the day again. And the Las Vegas Aces gets got again. Here is your daily WNBA update for June the 8th. What is up, awesome people of the internet? We start with a rested Indiana Fever taking on the winless Washington Mystics team. Things to note about this game going in is that the Fever had a whole 5-day break from their last game, which meant that they actually got some well-needed rest and practice. The Washington Mystics came into this game off of a back-to-back at Capital One Arena. They played the Chicago Sky the day before, but ultimately lost that game in a close one. And before the game started, I was expecting to see this be a battle in the post between the Aaliyah Boston of the Indiana Fever and Aaliyah Edwards of the Washington Mystics, but boy, was I wrong. The Indiana Fever barely win this one, 85-83. And guys, it felt like this game was a 40-minute three-point contest as threes were raining down left and right. Just check this stat. 57% of the Fever's made field goals in this game came from the three-point line as they knocked down 16 three-pointers in this game, and they were pretty efficient, going 45% from deep. Now, the Mystics were doing their best to sort of keep up the pace on the three-point front, but only one person was really knocking them down efficiently, and that was Stephanie Dolson. She was 5 of 6 from deep, and she finished with 19 points in this game. And I felt like at the end of the game, Steph Dolson had the opportunity to sort of continue to hit those threes, but she passed up some threes, which kind of partially lost the Mystics the game. Now, this game was a game of runs. The Indiana Fever ruled the first quarter. The Washington Mystics came back in the second. And at halftime, it was a 2-point game. And then we go to the third and fourth quarter, neck and neck battle. And in the end, it's just like it was at halftime. The Fever get it done with a 2-point win. Now, who was getting it done for the Fever? Well, it was Caitlin Clark, of course. Caitlin Clark did her thing in this one on both the offensive and defensive end. She finished with 30 points, going 53% from the field. She dished out 5 assists, 8 rebounds, and a whopping 4 steals in this one, as she ties the rookie record for most threes in a game. And she is now the third player all time to have a stat line of 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals or better in a game. Now, if you are wondering who were the other two that had that stat line, well, it was Brandy Reed and, of course, surprise, surprise, Candace Parker. And neither of those players did it in their rookie year. So, yeah, Caitlin Clark really had herself a game. I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that she did have 8 turnovers in this game. I think, for this season with Caitlin Clark, you're just going to have to accept the bad with the good, knowing that she will continue to get better in her passing and also in her ball control as a point guard in the WNBA. Yes, eight turnovers is concerning. However, what she was able to do on the court on both the offensive end in terms of scoring points, in terms of passing, and what she was able to do defensively in terms of actually getting in the passing lanes and getting a couple of steals, that vastly outweighs the turnovers that she had. So yes, she does need to clean up those turnovers, but it's not the biggest deal in the world because she does have way more positives than negatives for the Fever. Now, it was not just Caitlin Clark that was balling for the Indiana Fever. I thought that Kelsey Mitchell was clutch in this game, offensively and defensively. She ended up with 16 points, including 3 three-pointers. She had 4 assists, 3 steals in this one as well. Nilissa Smith recorded another double-double on the season with 10 points and 10 rebounds. Aaliyah Boston had 10 points and 6 rebounds with 3 assists. And Christy Wallace had 9 points, all coming from three-point basket. Now, even with these players balling, the Washington Mystics almost won this game. And the reason why they lost, to me, was because of a coaching error that caused them to lose this game, because there were 2 players on the Washington Mystics that Indiana just could not stop. And in the end, Eric Thibault decided to not make the right play calls and not have the right personnel on the court. And ultimately, the Washington Mystics do lose. Now, this is just my opinion on this, but let me back it up a little bit. So, Stephanie Dolson, was absolutely fire in this game. As I said earlier, she was unstoppable from the three-point line. But when the game was on the line at the end of the game, they were not looking to get Steph good looks at the three-point line. They did pass it to her in the paint, and led to a turnover in one possession. But while Steph Dosa is a post player, in this game, it was her three-point shooting that was most effective. So to me, it made no sense to have towards the end of the game, Steph Dosa sort of playing like a traditional post player at times, because what was working all game was the three-point shot. So to me, it made sense to run plays for Steph Dolson to get a three instead of having her sometimes in the paint as a traditional post player on the offensive end. Also, Myisha Hines-Allen, she only played 17 minutes in this game, but when she was out there, y'all, the Fever could not stop her down low. She was absolutely phenomenal in this game when she was in. But the problem was when the game was on the line, where was Myisha Hines-Allen? She was on the bench instead of in the game, which is really something that did not make any sense to me. We saw Myisha Hines-Allen having tons of mismatches in the post, and she was playing some bully ball and she was winning, and it was effective for the Mystics. But when it came down to it, Myisha Hines-Allen wasn't in the game, and she couldn't get stuff done. To me, it made sense to run plays for Steph Dolson for a three-point shot, and then if you want to get something in the paint, have Myisha Hines-Allen in there and have her work. But unfortunately for the Mystics, they did not do that. So once again, the Mystics do lose a winnable game and are now 0-11 on the season. Now, the thing to remember for the Mystics is that two of their best players is sitting on the bench injured. Shakira Austin is out with a hip injury, and Brittany Sykes is out with an ankle injury. So some positives for this game for the Mystics is that Aaliyah Edwards continues her stellar play. For the second game in a row, she has a double-double. She finished with 10 points and 12 rebounds. And another thing that was pretty awesome about this game is that there was a record of 20,333 fans in attendance. Now, were all the fans there to see the Mystics? No. But Mystics did get their first ever $1 million plus made on ticket sales. Now, usually the Mystics play at the Entertainment and Sports Arena, which has a capacity of 4,111 fans. They moved yesterday's game to the Capital One Arena, and all 20,000 plus tickets were sold out in just 30 minutes, guys. Again, 20,333 fans came to DC to watch a WNBA game. Now, this is the most attended game in WNBA history in the last 17 years. And I love to see it. I really do. The extra 16K fans were there to see Caitlin Clark. But rising tide lifts all boats. We saw, there was a lot of fanfare around the Washington Mystics, especially late in the game when they was making when they were trying to finish out the game with the win. Hearing the crowd, it sounded like there was, yes, they were there to see Caitlin, but they also wanted the Mystics to get a win. So that was pretty cool as well. It's kind of astounding personally to see two teams who at the time of this game happening had a combined record of 3-20. It was kind of amazing to see 20,000 plus fans to come out to see two of the worst teams in the WNBA play against each other. It's kind of crazy. I do hope that some of the fans who are in the DC area that were at the game, I do hope that they decide to come back to a Mystics game at their normal arena and sell that out, because if the Washington Mystics can continue to sell out the arena that they are currently in, maybe, just maybe, they could move back to the Capital One Arena. But the Capital One Arena is a large arena, and if you can't even get consistent sellouts every single game for your arena that you're currently in, you're never going to move up to advance back to the Capital One Arena. So my hope is that some of those fans stay with this team. Yes, they lost, and yes, the fans were probably there. A good amount of them were there to see Caitlin Clark. But I hope that they continue to support the W and to support their local team, because that's what we need. That's what we need. We need more fans to support these teams, so that ultimately they can sell out the arenas and then move up to bigger arenas, and then which ultimately leads to the game growing and more dollars in players' pockets at the end of the day. So yeah, because still, even though they lost, the Mystics, I do believe, still put on a really good show, and they show the fans there that they're not just going to roll over. They can play some good basketball. Now, guys, what do y'all think about the record-setting nature of yesterday's game? Also, do you all have an opinion about when the Mystics will finally get their first win of the season? Let me know in the comments, because I am very, very curious. Also, remember, guys, to hit that like button, please. And going from one close game to another close game, as Brittney Griner returns to the court, and the Phoenix Mercury barely beat the Minnesota Lynx 81-80. Now, for this game, it looks like the Lynx got the memo last night from the Indiana Mystics game, and they got the memo that they needed to hit some threes, and they did. They needed to hit some threes to have a chance at winning. They hit a lot of threes. Kahleah McBride, who is just having a breakout season this year. She had a career-high 8 3-pointers, finishing with 25 points in this game. Now, 8 made threes is a Lynx franchise record. The previous record was held by the Lynx now associate head coach Katie Smith in 2003, when she had 7 3-pointers in a game. Now the record is 8, thanks to Kahleah McBride. But again, Kahleah McBride is just, she has reached a different gear this year, and really is having a breakout year, specifically in terms of her shooting. Like, she's flat out amazing from the 3-point line this season. But for the Lynx, their identity is not necessarily on the 3-point line. It's found in the paint. And the paint was where they struggled yesterday. Nafisa Collier, their for sure best player and MVP candidate, she finished with only 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. Yes, these are good stats for almost everybody else in the WNBA, but for Fee, this was a bad night. This was a bad scoring night for her. Only going 36% from the field, and not totally being able to get the stuff that she normally gets going in the paint. And partially the reason why Fee was struggling was because of the return of 6'9" Brittney Griner. Brittney Griner is back, and her presence in the paint was really, really tough to go up against. And while we are speaking of Brittney Griner, let me just talk about what she did on the court. She started this one playing 21 minutes in total and finishing with 11 points, 4 rebounds, and she had the game-winning assist. Sure, not the best stats in the world, but this Phoenix team looked a lot different, both on the offensive end and defensive end, with Brittney Griner out there, because she makes them more than just a guard-focused team. She makes the opposing team, think twice before trying to do something in the paint, because you got 6'9" staring at you, and then on the offensive end, she just seems to open up a lot more stuff. So it's huge for the Phoenix Mercury to be getting Brittney Griner back. But like most games for the Phoenix Mercury, it was all about KFC Kahleah Cooper, who just took over again in this game. She had 34 points in this one, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. And I just want to zoom in into the last 42 seconds of this game, because to me that truly was the embodiment of what Kahleah Cooper is able to do for this team, and also the value that Brittney Griner has on this team, especially now that she is back. With 42 seconds left to go in the game, Phoenix was down by 4. Brittney Griner sets a high screen for Cooper, and Cooper gets to the bucket for the and one, though she does miss the free throw. Down on the other end, Nafisa Collier gets it to Alana Smith for an easy layup. We are back at a 4-point game. 25 seconds left to go in the game. Ka does a patented step back for a 3-point shot. Basket goes in. And with that, fast forward again, 5 seconds left in the game, and we see Phoenix down by 2 points. Nate Tibbetts draws up what I feel is a spectacular play. The Mercury inbound the ball to Brittany Griner, who is kind of in the corner. She does a handoff / screen to Kahleah Cooper. Ka hits the 3-point basket. That is the ball game. The Mercury eke out a win, a 1-point win versus the Lynx. With this game, Ka becomes the third player in WNBA history to have multiple games with 30 plus points, 5 plus 3 points made, 4 plus steals in a single game. Now, the other players to do that was Cynthia Cooper and Diana Taurasi. Now, on to the other two games that were not as close. Seattle took care of business on the road, defeating the Las Vegas Aces 78-65. Now, in this one, Seattle basically had control of the game from jump, and there really was nothing Vegas could do about it. The Storm's core four were balling. You had Jewel Lloyd, who finished with almost a double-double with 25 points and 9 rebounds. Fun fact about Jewel Lloyd yesterday is she reached the 5K mark in points in this game. And according to Across the Timeline, shout out to Across the Timeline, fantastic stats on Twitter every single day. Jewel Lloyd is now the 15th player in WNBA history to have 5,000 plus points, 1,000 plus rebounds, 900 plus assists, and 350 plus steals. Now, this is her 300th game, making her the second fastest to reach those stats, behind only Candace Parker. Now, Candace Parker, when you look at different stats in the WNBA and we talk about players who are like the second and third to do something, usually a player who's already on that list is Candace Parker. She is on almost every single stat line list when it comes to the WNBA. Candace Parker. So, even though she retired, we still going to be hearing the name Candace Parker pretty often, especially when we are talking about historical feats. Skylar Diggins-Smith, for her efforts as the PG1 for the Seattle Storm, she did her thing in this one. She finished with 21 points and 7 assists. And while, the posts were not as efficient in this game, both Ezzy McMagor and Nneka Ogwumike had double-doubles in this one. Ezzy had 14 points and 15 rebounds to go along with her 5 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. If you didn't know, now you know. Ezzy is the current leader for blocks in the WNBA this season, averaging 3 blocks a game. Nneka finished with 12 points in this one to go along with 11 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. And with her 12 points tonight, Nneka Ogwumike moves into a tie for 13th all-time in WNBA regular season scoring. Now, if you're wondering who she's tied with the one and only Seattle Storm legend, Lauren Jackson. So it's very fitting that Nneka ties Lauren Jackson for 13th overall, while Nneka is in a Seattle Storm uniform. Now, if you are wondering, how who Nneka is likely going to pass very soon, it will be Lisa Leslie. She is 12th on the list at 6,263 total points. And Lauren Jackson and Nneka Ogwumike are currently, again, tied at 6,007 points. All right, now for the Aces, as games continue on, it just becomes very, very clear that they absolutely need Chelsea Gray in a Las Vegas Aces uniform. She is still out on injury, and while Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young are doing their absolute best to play point guard by committee, when they face teams that have elite point guards like the Storm, they get exposed. A'ja Wilson is off to a they get exposed. So, that's something to note. A'ja Wilson had a very off game last night, but still carried the team, finishing with 29 points and 11 rebounds to go along with 3 blocks. Kelsey Plum was second in scoring with 18 points. The Storm go on to win their 6th straight game, and the Aces are now 5 of 3 on the season. And for the final game of the night, the LA Sparks defeat the Dallas Wings 81-72. Now, this one was a pretty close game throughout, but it was the 4th quarter where the LA Sparks went off and Dallas sort of disappeared to give the Sparks the W. First, let's talk about the Dallas Wings. And for me, it was all about Maddie Siegrist, who is continuing she's continuing to have a phenomenal season. This is her 2nd year in the WNBA, and she's just left and right having some great games. She went a super efficient 9 of 11 from the field, finishing with 21 points in this one, also adding in 6 rebounds. Now, the thing I like about Maddie's game is that she doesn't try to do too much. She knows her value on the offensive end and waits for a little bit of moments to make an impact. She does not try to force the game. She lets the game sort of come to her. Arike Egumbawale is normally a volume shooter, but yesterday, it felt like she really couldn't hit anything at all. She went a dismal 35% from the field and 0 of 9 from the three-point line. Though she did finish with 22 points, 4 assists, and 4 steals in this game, they needed Arike to score some points, and she just couldn't do it from the three-point line, especially. Now, for the Sparks, their PG, Lazy Clarendon, has returned to the court and the starting lineup, adding 7 points last night for the Sparks. But it was all about De'Erica Hamby, who is continuing to have a breakout year, finishing with a double-double, 22 points and 12 rebounds to go along with 4 assists and 2 steals. Now, a quick fun fact for you all. Through 10 games, De'Erica Hamby is averaging 20.6 points a game and 11.6 rebounds a game. Only 2 players have ever done that through their first 10 games of the WNBA season. Now, one of those players is Shamika Holdsclaw, one of the goats of women's basketball in general. And then we have Tina Charles, who is currently still playing with the Atlanta Dream. All right, let's continue on. Let's talk about Cameron Brink, who had a double-double of her own last night, which is nice. Rakia Jackson also added in 8 points. But guys, the news for the game yesterday, yes, is about De'Erica Hamby, but it's also about Lexi Brown, who finally found her three-point shot again and added 16 crucial buckets for the Sparks in order to secure the win. Now, for the Sparks, in order for them to continue to find success, they need Lexi Brown to continue to make shots. Now, guys, that was a quick look at yesterday's games. What do y'all think about the games overall? Let me know in the comments and hit that like button for me if you really enjoyed the commentary. Now, guys, I do have an announcement to make. We do have merch for the awesome people of the internet, guys. There is underneath the video, there should be a shop area where you can check out some awesome merch. The merch is live, and I'm excited about it. So I hope that you all are interested in getting some awesome people of the internet merch, and you're supporting this channel when you do so. So please go there and buy something. If you all are curious about what you all want to buy, I have a suggestion for you. Maybe you want to consider this awesome people of the internet official logo shirt. Would love for you to check that out. There's also some other options for you as well. You can see me and Mama modeling some awesome shirts. So anyway, guys, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. I will talk to y'all very, very soon today because we got some live streams to go for today. But anyway, guys, until next time, you all rock. Thank you so much. Until next time, guys. Bye.